Hello, hello. Welcome into the show. It is Adrian, and we're going to talk about the New York Giants 53-man roster prediction today. They just finished up their third preseason game against the Patriots. They crushed it all three games. They were dropping dimes left and right. Jackson Dart played amazing. Russ played well. All the quarterbacks. Tommy DeVito went off, and then the tight ends have looked phenomenal. The blocking's been good. Defense has been solid. I'm excited for the season and I am ready to get into this. But before we do that, we have to make this 53-man roster. So let's build it out. Most of the starters are set in place. We're good on that. A lot of the backups are good, but there's some tough challenges on who to pick for the bottom of the roster type guys. So let's get into this here. We're going to start off, of course, with the quarterback position. Yeah, Russ, Jameis, and Jackson Dart. They're locked in. The only chance something changes here is if Jameis Winston is somehow traded, but they see him as a piece that is necessary on this team. He's been great for the camaraderie. He's been great for the city and for the public and for the fans. And honestly, from what we hear, he's been great for Jackson Dart as well. So I don't see him going anywhere unless for some reason some team gave us like a second round pick, which won't happen. So unfortunately, it is the end of the Tommy DeVito era in New York. Now, I would love to see him go to the practice squad, but with how well he's played in the preseason, I don't think that's going to happen. Well, we probably won't be seeing him again. Honestly, he's probably going to go to like the Jets. I could see that. Tyrod Taylor's hurt at the moment, and their backups after him have not looked great. Honestly, Justin Fields hasn't even looked great, so DeVito could be starting for the Jets by week 4. Who knows? But yeah. So we got Russ, Jameis, and Jackson Dart at quarterback. Running back, we're already going to have the first difficult decision. So Toronto Tracy, Devin Singletary, and Cam Scattaboo are on the team. They will all three of them be playing this year. After them, it's a question mark. Eric Gray will be on the pup list, so I doubt he's going to get cut, but he will be on the pup list, so he's not going to count against the 53. Jonathan Ward, maybe a practice squad guy. Turbo Miller, Dante Miller, he is the big question mark. He played a lot in the preseason, and he looks explosive, but also, I mean, he's kind of just there, and he's not really going to play unless maybe Scattaboo's hurt. But even then, it's going to be all Tracy and Singletary. I don't really see a way for Turbo to get onto the field. And even if we did, I mean, if we cut him, he's probably going to be able to sneak him onto the practice squad. If not, I feel like there's other backs we can bring in for the practice squad. Jonathan Ward, example. So I am cutting him. I'm only keeping 3 running backs. I know that's going to surprise a lot of people because Turbo Miller had a good preseason. I like Turbo Miller. He's fast. He's fun to watch, but he's just not going to see the field. So I don't, unless they're nervous about Scattaboo getting hurt. But even then, we can just keep Turbo on the practice squad and bring him up if we need him or another running back. So, and there's running backs dime a dozen in this league. There's so many free agent running backs that are worth sticking on the team and actually good. It's tough. So I am cutting Turbo Miller. Moving on to wide receiver, this is one of the more difficult positions to figure out. I mean, obviously we have the starters, Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, and Wan'Dale Robinson in the slot. Those are the three. Those are the only 3, honestly, locks that I can think of. After that, it's all up for grabs. I mean, Jalen Hyatt is the first off the bench, but he was not good in the preseason. I wouldn't be shocked if we moved on from him. I don't think we will. I think he is going to make the team, but they have to. I feel like they should make a push for Gabe Davis or something because Jalen Hyatt did not look good. After him, that's 4 players. I think they did like Bo Collins. He looked bad against the Patriots. He had some big drops. I don't know if that hurt his chances of making the team. But I think probably either Bo Collins or Lil Jordan Humphrey are going to serve the large receiver slash possibly special teams type role that Bryce Ford Wheaton was supposed to be in before he got hurt once again. Um, I do. I think I will keep Bo Collins over Lil Jordan Humphrey, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's flipped and they keep Lil Jordan over Bo Collins. So that's what, three, four, five. I think they're going to keep six, maybe seven. Montreal Washington was fun early on, but he's fell off. They do need a return man, and Amir Smith Marset was the return man last year, but he has gotten some competition from Gunnar Olszewski. Olszewski. I think it's Olszewski. He has gotten some competition from Gunnar Olszewski since we signed him, and Gunnar has looked better in the preseason, and Amir Smith Marset looks like he may have gotten into it with the coaches over maybe playing time in the preseason. I'm not sure. But yeah, I just can't get over the fact that Amir Smith Marset was a legitimate good return man for us last year. And I don't see a reason why we wouldn't keep him unless they really are nervous about needing a backup slot. Amir Smith Marset didn't play a lot of backup slot in the preseason, or at least he didn't make many plays. Gunnar Olszewski might be better in that role. But yeah, I'm gonna end up keeping six: Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, Wandale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, Bo Collins, and Amir Smith Marset. I could see this as a spot that we add someone that gets cut from a different team, or like I said, maybe Gabe Davis, maybe a backup slot that gets chopped somewhere, and then maybe Bo Collins gets chopped after that. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Jalen Hyatt will try to trade him for a 6 round pick swap. I don't. They won't get much for him. But yeah, I could see Gunnar Olszewski making it over Amir Smith Marset. I could see Lil Jordan making it over Bo Collins. Other than that, this is pretty much what I imagine is going to happen. Moving on to tight end, this actually was very difficult as well. So Theo Johnson and Chris Manhertz are the only locks. Theo Johnson being the starter and Manhertz being the blocking tight end. After that, it's a bit of a question mark. I think and I assume Daniel Bellinger is going to be on the team as the backup. He's probably the best tight end after Theo Johnson at doing everything, but he also has I think like 3.5 million in savings if we cut him somewhere around there. So if they need money, Greg Dulcich and Thomas Fidone both looked pretty dang good in the preseason. And with Theo Johnson and Chris Manhertz, do they think like maybe we don't need Daniel Bellinger so much? We could just save that money. Maybe they'll ask him for a pay cut and he'll accept it. Maybe they'll ask him for a pay cut and he'll say no and they cut him. I could see both things happening. For now, I am going to leave him on the team, though. I do like Daniel Bellinger, and I think he plays an important role as that backup in case Theo Johnson goes down. Now, moving on to Dulcich and Fidone, this is where the difficult decision has to be made. Do we keep a fourth tight end? Can we keep a fifth tight end? If we do only keep one of them, which one will it be? They're very different tight ends. Fidone was a draft pick. Dulcich came over with Russell Wilson. Dulcich is a former receiver that's very good in space. He's very fast. He can make cuts. He's not a great blocker. And honestly, will he see the field much if we did keep him on the team? I'm not sure. I don't think he would make it to the practice squad, though, if we cut him, which is difficult. Fidone, on the other hand, like I said, 7th-round draft pick, so they have some ties to him. He's a big tight end that can make all the catches you want. He'd be a big red zone target, I believe. I honestly, I think if we were in the red zone, I think if we played two tight ends with Theo Johnson and Thomas Fidone, that would be absolutely disgusting. But that's just me thinking out loud. I like Fidone a lot. I think the team likes him a lot as well, but I think Fidone possibly could make it to the practice squad if we cut him. So maybe they're thinking we keep Dulcich over Fidone because Fidone could actually make it to the practice squad. But you also risk losing him in that scenario because he was a very high ranked prospect coming out of high school, dropped off a little due to injuries and other aspects in college. So, but I don't know. Somebody might see him and say like that's a guy we can work with. So it's going to be real difficult to figure out who they're going to go with here. I just said screw it and kept all 5 of them. Honestly, I don't know if they would do this. They probably have somewhere else on the roster that they want to keep someone where Fidone or Dulcich might not make sense, or Bellinger. But I just couldn't. I didn't have it in me to cut any of these guys. They've all played so well in the preseason, and I think they could all make an impact on this team if the playing time comes to them. But that's the question. Will they? The five tight ends is kind of crazy. Will they get playing time? Would the Giants value a fifth tight end? Because that's crazy. But I love them all so much. I kept them. So let's move to the inside O line. John Runyon at left guard. Greg Van Roten is locked up right guard. JMS is still sitting at center. After that, it's a toss up. Yeah, Aaron Stinney, Evan Neal, and Jake Kubas are battling for one, maybe two spots here, I think. You could throw Austin Schlottman in there as well as the backup center, but there are a few guys cross-trained at center where I don't think Schlottman has really played himself into staying on the roster. So between Stinney, Neal, and Kubas, you have to pick one or two guys. Aaron Stinney, the savvy vet, you trust him for a few games here or there if he needs to come in. Great player. Evan Neal, former first overall or first round pick at tackle, moved to guard. He hasn't played great in the preseason, but they still have a lot invested in him. So do they really want to just cut him and let someone like the Eagles turn him into a great player? Or do they want to still keep working with him and try to see if he can be that guard? I don't know. We'll see. And then Jake Kubas, undrafted player from last year that played well in relief and when he had to come in, but this preseason hasn't looked as great. Is he a guy that they think could get to the practice squad? Because Stinney or Neal might not get to the practice squad. Kubas probably would. So, do they keep one, two, three of these guys? That is the question. I think. I think it's going to be either one or two. Yeah, I think Kubas. I think they're going to think that he could probably get to the practice squad. So I'm going to go ahead and keep Stinney and Neal. See what happens. See if they can get Neal into something. Maybe he gets. Maybe somebody gives him a trade bait at some point by keeping him on the team. I don't know. I think Stinney though ultimately is the first guard off the bench. Since Neal and Kubas haven't looked good, I can't see them cutting Stinney unless they have a different idea in mind. Which I will mention actually as we move to the tackle position. So Andrew Thomas, Jermaine Illuminor, starters, they're locks. James Hudson and Marcus Bowe, also locks. Hudson got paid a lot to be the swing tackle, and Marcus Bowe has looked fantastic in the preseason. He might actually beat Hudson out for the swing tackle role, but Hudson's already getting paid, so they're not going to cut him. So yeah, those four are locked in, which means Stone Forsythe is a foregone conclusion. He will be cut. But Josh Ezeudu is the one that I wanted to mention because it seems like that he didn't play against the Patriots, as far as I know. And they moved him to guard for the game before, and he honestly looked better than Evan Neal or Jake Kubas at guard when he went in. So I could theoretically see instead of Aaron Stinney making the team at inside line as the main backup, I could see them going with a draft pick in Josh Ezeudu. Right now, I am cutting him, but that could be the spot where Ezeudu makes it over Aaron Stinney, or even Evan Neal possibly, as that backup guard. And I do like Ezeudu, so I think I would like to see that, but they had him as a tackle for most of training camp and preseason games, so it was just that one game against the Jets where Ezeudu came in and looked good at guard. So is that enough for them to keep him? I'm not sure. Maybe that's why they didn't play him against the Patriots. Maybe they think, hey, this is a guy we want on the team. Let's just not play him. I have no idea. As of right now, I haven't getting cut. Moving to the defense, we go to the D-line. Dexter Lawrence is a lock. Other than that, it's a bit wide open. I think Darius Alexander is a lock. Roy Robertson Harris is probably a lock based on how much money we paid him. D-tackle, Raheem Nunez Roches Nacho. We signed Roy Robertson Harris and drafted Darius Alexander and signed Jeremiah Ledbetter in an effort for someone to knock Nacho off of his starting pedestal there. Because he's getting overpaid right now, and if we cut him, we would save a lot of money. But Nacho has outperformed all of those players, and I do believe he is essential as a starting D tackle on this team, so I don't see them cutting him as of this moment. So that is 4 locks right there. Elijah Chapman at nose tackle. He played quite a bit with Dexter Lawrence not playing in the preseason. I don't imagine he'll see much playing time when the season starts, but they have been playing him at fullback, and that is a legitimate role on this team. So Elijah Chapman, I believe, is pretty much a lock for this roster at this point. And he's a fun guy that can play in late in games or in rotations whenever we might want some pass rush from the inside. So Elijah Chapman, I think, is a pretty close lock. Will they keep a 6th D lineman? That is a question mark, but Dexter Lawrence doesn't have a real replacement for when he comes out. Like Elijah Chapman's not a nose. Nacho, Roy Robertson, Harris, Darius, none of them are really a nose tackle. So that leaves DJ Davidson a legitimate backup opportunity on this team if Dexter Lawrence needs a breather. If Dexter Lawrence is injured, then we're screwed. But if he needs a breather, DJ Davidson can come in, give him a couple plays off, maybe even a whole drive off for Dexter Lawrence. So I think DJ Davidson still has a spot on this team. The rest of them, I think Ledbetter and Garcia, Durden and Rogers didn't make any noise at all. Jordan Riley, former draft pick, he just hasn't performed how we wanted to. He should have been Dexter Lawrence's backup, but he hasn't performed. DJ Davidson's been better than him for sure. So maybe he'll be on the practice squad. But yeah, I have 6 guys here on the D line, and I think all of them serve a purpose on this team. So this is a spot where they could look to add somebody. I just don't know. I mean, maybe they replace Davidson with a different nose tackle, but honestly, I think they're just rolling with what they got here. At edge, this one's pretty cut and dry. Thibodeau, Burns, Golston, and Carter are the 4 edge rushers, and they are going to be a dominant force this year, and I'm so excited to watch them. Abdul Carter looked phenomenal when he got on the field. And then Burns and Thibodeau along with him, and then Golston to clean it up. That's an amazing group. Victor Dimukeji, he's on an NFI list, so he will be on the team, but he is injured, so who knows when we'll see him. And then Trace Ford and Tamon Fox, I think we're pretty much battling for a practice squad role. Tamon Fox has been the guy for the last 3 years. It seems like Ford might be overtaking him, actually, this year. But either way, I imagine they will both get cut, and one, maybe both of them, will be on the practice squad. Moving to linebacker, this spot is a little interesting. So Bobby O, of course, will be the starting linebacker. Micah McFadden will be the will linebacker. Those guys are locked in. But they do seem to really like Darius Musau. And honestly, his play isn't that far off from Bobby OK right now, even though Bobby is getting paid a lot of money for that position. He really needs to step up this year and prove that he still deserves that. Otherwise, he might be gone after this year. They might chop him. But they do like Musau a lot. He's a lock as well. And then I believe Chris Board is about as close to a lock as you can get. Very good special teams guy that can also come in and play some linebacker if Micah McFadden or even possibly Bobby OK need a break. So those 4, I believe, are pretty close to being locks. After that, I don't think any of them. KJ Cloyd made some good plays this year. He'll probably be on the on the practice squad. And then Deontay Johnson last year was fantastic. He was pushing Micah McFadden for his job last year. But this year, he hasn't made any noise, unfortunately. Could be another practice squad guy. And then Flanagan Fowles, I mean, he's a special teams guy that just probably won't cut it. Moving to corner, there's, more interesting news at corner. I mean, Adebo is a lock. Tay Banks, Cordell Flott, and Drew Phillips are all locks. We got Adebo and Phillips starting. They're solid. Banks and Flott have been in a battle all training camp, all preseason long. They want Banks to win that role, but honestly, Cordell Flott has probably outplayed him. I do believe, I heard our assistant GM, Brandon Brown, I believe his name is, I heard him, or read an article about him talking about those 2 corners, Tay Banks and Cordell Flott. And honestly, we might be using them in a different role depending on who we're playing. Like maybe Tay Banks can take on some taller, big receiving target type guys, and maybe Cordell Flott can travel with some quicker, speedier guys. I don't know. But it seems like it might depend on who we're playing, what receiver is out there. Depends on whether Tay Banks or Cordell Flott will get the start. So I think that's interesting. I don't know how well that will work. And I assume Banks and Flott, or Banks, yeah, I assume Banks and Flott will probably get embarrassed at times this year, and we may even lose some games simply because of those two guys. But that is what we have right now, and it'll be interesting to see if either of them take a leap this year and impress from what we've seen, because it hasn't been great, honestly. This could also be a spot where we look to add another person, since neither of them have really taken that role. Maybe another corner gets cut from a team that we see could compete with those guys and possibly start some games. We'll see. But that's 4 guys right there. I do think we need I think they want a backup nickel, and it seems like Nick Jones has scooped up that role. TJ Moore, unfortunately, looked pretty good in this last preseason game until he got very injured. But I don't think he would have overtaken Nick Jones. So I think Nick Jones has a role here. And then after that, I do think they're going to want to keep a sixth, at least a sixth guy. Who will that be is the question mark. Trey Hawkins, Art Green, O'Donnell Fortune, and Corey Black, and D. Williams, and honestly TJ Moore before he got hurt. They've all made plays here and there, and in an effort to make it as that sixth back. D. Williams could be a return man. Maybe they value that. O'Donnell Fortune and Art Green both had a solid couple of preseason games. TJ Moore had that pick, but like I said, he's hurt. Corey Black is a 7th round draft pick who has a lot of special teams ability, so they might want him, although I didn't see him out there much. Maybe I just wasn't looking for him. And then, of course, Trey Hawkins, who a few years ago literally beat out Tay Banks for a starting role on this team. Was it Tay Banks? He was starting for a few games and before he kind of fell off. But ultimately, I do think Trey Hawkins is probably the most talented, at least at the moment, on this team, and I think he should make it as that 6th corner. I could see them make a push for any of those guys, though, as that 6th corner. I wouldn't be surprised if any of them make it over Trey Hawkins. I do like Trey Hawkins, though, and he's got a sick name for a corner. But we'll see what happens there. So I have those 6 making it. Moving to safety, we're almost done at 22 minutes. So safety, it's mostly locked up here. Tyler Newman and Javon Holland are the starters. Dane Belton has still been the main backup off the bench. After him is a bit of a question mark, though. On the depth chart, it seems to be Raheem Lane. He's been fine in the preseason. Makari Page had an interception in that last game. He's been okay. I think a couple touchdowns were thrown over top of him as well, but he did have that interception. Maybe they see that as a guy that can make some plays. And then, of course, Kayvon Wallace came over from the Titans. He's played with in Shane Bowen's system before, and he's been a starter. So you could make a case for all 3 of these guys. I just decided to go ahead and go with the depth chart that they have out, and that is Raheem Lane at the moment as that 4th safety. I could easily see Kayvon Wallace taking that role. I don't think Makari Page will. He could be a practice squad guy, but I got Raheem Lane so far. Moving to special teams, Graham Gano, Jamie Gillen, the Hammer, and Casey Kreider are the 3, and then Jude McAtney. He's the international pathway player, so he'll be on the team either way. So that is the 53-man roster prediction. Let me know what you think, if you disagree with anything, if you think I'm crazy, absolutely insane for having 5 tight ends on this roster. I probably am a little crazy, but that's fine. Yeah. And also, if you have any ideas of who the Giants might pick up off of waivers or off of free agency. Gabe Davis, maybe we bring him in. I heard he's not really interested in the Giants, but there's some guys available there. So let me know what you think. Until next time, guys. Peace.